Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Spoiler Princess here, and today, we're back with third year Ditter, part 2. I hope you all will enjoy the video, because I'm so happy to be back, and to be a little more consistent, hopefully, in uploading. So today's chapters that we will be covering is Preparing for Ditter, The Bride-Taking Ditter, and Intruders. A bit of the Intruders chapter. Might not go through the whole thing. So I hope you all enjoy and look forward to the Hannelore-Wilfried ship video coming up next week. Enjoy! Preparing for Ditter. So this chapter starts off with Wilfried and Lancelot discussing when this Ditter event would happen, and Lancelot tells him that he'll contact them when they have secured Ralphin as the judge and have the knights ready. So they're all getting all of that discussed while Hannelore and Rosemyne go and sit down and have a discussion with themselves. Rosemyne takes the time to apologize to Hannelore about getting her involved, and the whole situation becomes a mess, and Hannelore tells her that it's not her fault, and she also apologizes for her brother for his recklessness and his very shortcoming in his actions. Rosemyne and Hannelore then discuss, Rosemyne specifically takes the time to tell Hannelore that she doesn't intend in letting Hannelore be married into Dunkelfelger, and Hannelore has to tell her that it doesn't really matter because if you can't come back with that. So they end up, Rosemyne ends up telling her that if she does end up coming to Ehrenfest, and she will protect her, give her all the books in advance, and treat her as an amazing wife that she deserves to be. Rosemyne also calls Hannelore her soulmate, and Hannelore responds by saying, as her soulmate, she has to tell her something, and it's that she needs to be aware that Lancelot has found a way to go around her windshield, so she needs to be careful. Afterwards, they go back to the dormitory, and Rosemyne, Wilfried, and Charlotte, they inform everyone what happened. And Charlotte is very surprised and doesn't understand how a literal tea party ended up in a Ditter game at the end. My dear Charlotte, this is Dunkelfelger. They will turn anything into Ditter. We learned this throughout, I don't know, the 2 times before where they had Ditter. Also the fact that Ralphin keeps talking about Ditter. So I don't understand how you could possibly think this tea party would not turn into Ditter, especially considering Lancelot was involved. Anyway, I go back. So they discuss strategy. Rosemyne attendants and everyone discuss strategy of how are they going to help Rosemyne not have her windshield broken. So they agree that she has the former windshield, but the windshield takes longer to make, so they need a distraction at the beginning of the battle. Rosemyne suggests a giant wash-in, which is not feasible because no one else but her can do that, and it would end the battle immediately. So that idea was immediately thrown out. And then Riarda steps up hesitantly, saying that normally as an adult she shouldn't interfere, but since it's Rosemyne's safety involved, and that she doesn't want Rosemyne to be taken away, she's going to intervene. So she says that we should replace some of our knights with attendants, so that since they have typically higher mana levels, with high mana levels, so that they can start refilling magic tools, so they can contribute their mana to the battle. And then while scholars create magical tools and everything until they are basically drained the day of the battle, so that everything is ready and they're all ready to fight. The attendants chosen were Isidore, one of Wilfried's attendants, and Brunhild, because they know the mana compression method and they have most mana. Wilfried then says that they could use the large-scale wash-in that Rosemyne suggested, all 3 of them, and Brunhild talks about the fact that Clarissa had made a magic tool that could amplify magic mana, so they're going to talk about Harmut to that. And Leonore is basically in charge of strategy, so she tells Wilfried that they will entrust the defense to him, and that the home circle will contain Rosemyne, Judith, a long-range specialist, and the apprentice attendant, if we guard them with their plentiful mana, then we can devote more manpower to our offense. That is exactly what she says. And Rosemyne, and then they discuss if Wilfried should have a divine instrument, which they decide to ask Sylvester to bring a divine instrument to the Royal Academy. They decide on Ewigleb's sword, and they basically sent word to Sylvester to bring Ewigleb's sword to the Royal Academy and ask Hartmut about Clarissa's research. And then everyone just goes off their own ways, and the scholars are making stuff, the attendants are helping, and the knights are going to train, and they ask Rosemyne to give them the English blessing so they can get used to it, so that when they have it on battle, it won't cause too many problems. Rosemyne decides to go and do research on how to steal Dunkelfelger's blessing, so she asks to go to the closed archive, but since the royalty right now is, doing their mana stuff, she has to ask Hildebrand, who approves, and so she ends up going with only Hortensia, Hannelore, and Hildebrand. Let's just say that is a weird combination for all of them, and Schwartz and Whites are calling her Milady again, so that's refreshing. I missed Schwartz and Whites calling Rosemyne Milady. She's our lady, like, come on. Anyway, Rosemyne does her research, they go back to the dormitory afterwards, but Hildebrand disappeared somewhere. No one knows where. He just left. But Hildebrand now knows about the Ditter game, which could be interesting and is a very important thing that we need to know, because this comes back later. So they go back to the dormitory. Hartmut is there. They're all ready, and they are preparing for the Ditter match now. So we see Rosemyne, Hannelore, talking about Ewigleb's sword. She's practicing making her staff to take away the blessing. So yeah, like, they're preparing a lot for this match. Bride taking dinner. So the chapter starts off with Ralphin being very excited about the Ditter game, and he says something really weird to Rosemyne that also kind of makes it imply, like, Rosemyne wants to marry Lestat, which she doesn't, but we don't know what he's been telling everyone. We also find out that Hersher is angry because she is going to be the judge, and she's like, I need to continue working on my studies, but now she has to take part of watching a Ditter game. And we also learned that Dunkelfelger really wanted to be there and doesn't oppose this, which is concerning, and a lot of Dunkelfelger people are showing support for Rosemyne and that they're there for her, which makes her very, very suspicious. So we get to the Ditter participation practice, and they go down, and basically they prepare everything. They have the box with all the magic tools inside. Brunhild is coordinating everyone, and Leonore too. They're all getting ready for this intense Ditter game. Here's the strategy they came up with for their opening move. So Rosemyne uses Gedild right away, then hides behind everyone and completes Shitzaria's shield as fast as possible. The Archknight used Gedild to block attacks and buy Rosemyne some time. Wilfried, Isidore, and Brunhild target the enemy with an area of effect Waschen. The atmosphere is that's the main strategy. The atmosphere between everything is very tense. Then Wilfried and Lestat go to the front, have their little thing, they raise their stops to the center, go back, they have a little word together. Dunkelfelger's side look like they also have magic tools, then probably some attendants of the sword, considering that all of them are wearing knight's armor. When the game starts, everything goes exactly like it was planned. You have everyone is literally using Gedild right away. Everything goes as planned, except for the fact that Dunkelfelger throws a flashbang at them. Rosemyne is staying focused and is doing everything she can. And then the Waschen happens, and sadly only lasts for 10 seconds, and everyone recovers on Dunkelfelger's side. Did not end the match like they would have liked it to from the beginning. The area of effect Waschen ended up giving 20 seconds to Rosemyne's team, giving her enough time to finish her shield of Sitsaria and giving her time to start the water ritual, which is the goddess of ocean, Verfirmere's blessing. So she's trying to currently get all the blessings that Dunkelfelger have and send it back to the gods. Everyone on Ehrenfest's side retreats behind the shield, and Judith goes up and throws a magic tool over to Dunkelfelger with her slingshot. And basically it causes them a lot of trouble because their eyes hurt, their throat hurts, they can't breathe, they're going numb. Harmwood and Apprentice Knight ended up gathering a red and white spiky fruit called a nagarosh and crushed it into powder, which basically every time it comes into contact it irritates the skin and everything, and the only way to get rid of it is using wash-in. So Lancelot makes a comment about the fact that this, do not falter, this is normal, this is Rosemyne, she's done this before, and that we just need to stay strong. And Rosemyne ends up taking away their blessing. They all start falling to the ground. It's not going well for Dunkelfelger right now. Lancelot tells his team to calm down because they still have Rockstar, and we know that he's very strong because they have to send Traugott and Lawrence to fight him because that's how strong he is. They can't find him alone. An important information that is mentioned during a long text of dialogue of just Rosemyne's inner thought is that when Ewigleip's sword is used with Sitsaria's shield, the shield tends to weaken a lot. So that she needs to be careful right now to make sure that her shield doesn't weaken too much. And when Wilfrid is going to go out and use Ewigleip's sword. Lancelot sends Ralchar Stark to fight, and Lawrence and Traugott go and meet him to fight him off while Rosemyne is looking on. Then as that is happening, everyone goes in to fight, and Rosemyne cannot tell who's fighting who anymore except for Lawrence and Traugott since they're sticking together the whole time. Leonor also makes a point to tell Rosemyne that Traugott has learned to cooperate since the last time Ditter happened, and he's gotten a lot better at it. Isidore is giving Judith some low-level magic tools, and we learn a bit about the system of like low-level magic tools are like flash bombs and like smoke screens and stuff like that, while mid-level magic tools have a little bit more of effect and like the one they started off with, and then high-level magic tools are very destructive if you aren't guarded. So we learned that, and so currently they're only throwing low-level magic tools. We also noticed that they're kind of starting to lose, considering that someone Alexis thought to be on par with, he just lost to. So they need to be a little more careful with that now. Noticing that the battlefield is kind of going to chaos, Rosemyne and Wilfrid discuss the fact that they should probably send Wilfrid out with Ewigleip's sword, and Rosemyne tells Brunhild to give Judith high-level magic tools to throw at Dunkelfelger. So they start doing that. Wilfrid is going out there and does his beautiful ritual. Wind starts swirling around him, and we see the beautiful Ewigleip's sword start to activate as he fills it with more and more mana. It is known that after using Ewigleip's sword, people typically will be completely out of mana and kind of pass out, so they send Isidore with Wilfrid so that he can pick him up when he's done without having too many problems, because Isidore is a male. So they do that. Dunkelfelger, seeing Wilfrid start a prayer, sends all its knight after Wilfrid to stop him from completing the prayer ritual to activate Ewigleip's sword. Dunkelfelger knights shoot arrows at him. A few of them, 2 or 3 of them hit, and they got reflected as mana attacks to them because Wilfrid was wearing Ferdinand's charm. And when he's finally done with the preparation, everyone, and I mean all Ehrenfest's knights, just retreat behind Sitsaria's shield because they know what's about to happen, and it is carnage. Rosemyne has to expand Sitsaria's shield because so many people are behind it, and now when Wilfrid finally swings the sword, screaming his lungs, a lot of the Lord of Winter's subordinates appear and attack Dunkelfelger, and Wilfried just collapses to the ground. Isidore retrieves Wilfried, and they start discussing how are they going to get Hannelore out, because they know Hannelore is not going to voluntarily leave her circle. Knowing that the distraction Wilfried caused wouldn't last so long, all the apprentice knights, after drinking revolution potions, immediately left and went to on the attack. And Listlot calls Rockstar and tells him to use the attack it's the same attack that Karstead uses against the invading people in Ehrenfest, and also when they go and collect the ingredients for Jereven, the third part, against the giant cat. They use it again there with Eckhard. So it's that same attack. So he swings the sword down and tells everyone to move or else they will be destroyed. So even everyone just get pushed to the side, and it hits the shield to the point where Rosemyne has barely any mana left, and her high beast actually is completely gone. Judith is holding her, putting the cape and everything. Isidore is in a fetal position on the floor, and Brunhild fainted from the horror of getting hit by an attack like that. So it's not going well, and then they notice a shadow from above them, and it's Lestalot in his high beast, and he just drops through the shield using a black shield himself, and he's just there, and Judith takes her sword out, but because anything that is considered an attack inside of Saria's shield gets pushed out, she immediately gets yeeted out. So Rosemyne is kind of in a sticky situation where she's in a shield with Lestat, wondering how he got in, and she figures it's because of the shield he's holding that is, we found out, a Dunkelfelger treasure, and is made out of multiple black stones. So that is impressive. So Rosemyne, being like, okay, I can't lose because everyone else around me is still fighting, downs the ultra nasty potion, which makes Lestalot think that she would rather die by poisoning herself than go to Dunkelfelger, which is a funny realization. But anyway, after that, she makes Leidenschaft's spear and just starts swinging it around in the most clumsy way possible of fighting, and hits Lestalot's black shield, which causes it to start disintegrating, making him angry, which causes him to get expelled from the shield. Lestalot, seriously, you know, like, anything that's negative emotions will get kicked out. So, like, that was a not really brilliant move on your part. Afterwards, we hear Professor Herscher say that people are dropping in to the fight without consent. The next chapter, Intruders. So for this chapter, I'm not going to go into really a lot of details because a lot of this I'm going to cover in another episode, talking about all the hints that we had about what was happening in the background throughout all of part 5 and part 4. So a lot of the backlog of this, but in general what happened in this chapter is some of the knights, the royal knights, sovereignty knights, came and attacked to save Rosemyne from being taken by Dunkelfelger, and we find out in most probability that it was Hildebrand that caused this, and generally they caused chaos and causing Wilfried, and since no one was going to save Hannelore, Wilfried ran and asked Hannelore to take his hand and dragged her out, causing Ehrenfest to win because the match wasn't said to have ended. Prince Anastasia shows up, and Wilfried is kind of like not accepting the fact that they won, and is like, we need a rematch, this isn't fair, we didn't win fair and square, and not taking the point that this wasn't about winning the game fair and square, it was about just winning generally. A lot of problems have ensued from there, and generally people have to accept that Hannelore is now going to go to Ehrenfest, which when you think about it causes a lot of problems for the general dynamics of the duchy, because she's going to be a second wife. And like, even though Rosemyne and Wilfried want to not have that happen, it's still going to cause a lot of problems. And we also get to see how a higher duchy talks with the prince. And you can clearly tell, like, even though Prince Anastasius is there, like, Lancelot doesn't talk the way that Wilfried does. So there's a lot of training that needs to be had between Wilfried and how to act like a higher duchy, because they're not acting like a higher duchy currently. They're acting like they were still in the lower duchies, not even like a mid-ranking duchy. They're just bowing down to the whims of the crown, being very humble, not expressing their desires at all, which is could cause a lot of problems, which isn't really nice. So yeah, that's generally what happened afterwards. And now I'll show you guys the image. So this is the image. I am very happy about it. I love the generalized sense that it has. I really tried to make the wind an aspect of this image. The background was actually most of the coloring, as you could see. About like more than half of the video was just coloring the background, because I had to put so much little details in it, make sure that all the colors work together well. I had to do a lot of twickering so it could be perfect like I really wanted it to. So I hope you guys really like the image. I love it. I worked so hard on this one. And I also really liked the character of Lancelot, so I was having a lot of fun working with this video. And who doesn't love Ditter? Like, seriously, like, Ditter is like the best thing ever. And Lancelot is like one of my characters in this series of Bookworm that I just love and admire, and I want to see more of as pre-pub and the books go on. Like, he's such an amazing character in my eyes, and I wish we could get more of him, get more of his inner thoughts and how he sees the world and how he interacts with it, because he's such an amazing character. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video and have a good day, night, or evening. Bye!